Hi, everybody. I'm Mearns. I'm here with Marc Happel, costume director of New York City Ballet, and a very, very good friend of mine. And we've worked on a lot together over the years. And we're just going to casually chat. And this is cocktail hour for us, actually. Cocktail. Yeah. That was very, very timed perfectly. Actually, it's EOB for us. We call this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have one of those in a very long time.
I know. And, more than anything, I can't wait to be doing that again, among other things.
Yeah. Yeah. So where are you? You are in your house upstairs.
So I'm in my house up in the hamlet of Chelsea, which is just a little north of Beacon, New York, where I basically, with Harvey, my husband, retreated to like 5 months ago, and have basically been here, except for one afternoon where we went into the city to kind of close down the apartment that we rent there and clean out the refrigerator and turn everything off.
Oh my gosh. And you got some clothes.
So,
remember you said you got clothes because it was going to be.
And I packed because all my summer clothes were down there. Yeah. So.
Right.
So yeah, so it's it's been 5 months up here, which has been interesting. I've never. This is the first time, and I don't know how long. I don't know ever that I've been up here for that long.
I know. I don't remember since we've been friends since that was like 2008, right? When
2006.
2006 when you came to the company. Right. I don't remember you being at the house longer than like 3 weeks or a month, maybe?
Maybe a month.
Maybe a month.
Yeah.
And that was like a long time. And then at the end of that month, you'd be like, oh, I'm ready to come back to work. I'm ready to go back to the city. And like, it was just like the perfect time for you to be like up at the house. And then you would get antsy again and like want to go back to work.
Well, a lot of times Harvey and I would go on trips, and March was a great time for us to get away, and we would go on these lengthy trips that were great, and I loved them.
Epic.
Yeah, epic trips.
Your travel binders, and you would show me your travel binder, and you have everything planned out.
Right. I love to be a little bit of a tour manager, tour guide, tour planner, so I love that part.
Yeah.
But it was always like those were great, and they were amazing places like Southeast Asia and India and all the they were amazing. Sometimes for 3.5 weeks.
Yeah.
And when you're gone that long, you very much kind of at the end of 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, you're ready to come home. Yeah. It's tiring. It's it's a kind of exhausting to be traveling and always be at the mercy of schedules and hotels and so on and so forth. So, and then also, for me, I just like you, I just love New York City Ballet. And, I've never worked anywhere where I am so connected, and so it just changed my life. And I have I've just I'm just always eager to get back into the work that we do in making the art that goes on that stage, and making the costumes that go on you, and new clothes, working with new designers, working on new ballets, and, so it's like that's really unusual now.
Yeah. I'm like, the other day when they finally opened the plaza, and I walked by and I was like, you can actually walk in the plaza. I was like, oh my God, how do I get in there? I just walked in there, I just like stood there, and like, I was like, I would never imagine that moment ever happening where we couldn't even stand in the plaza. And then I was like,
right.
The happiest I've ever felt. And I literally ran up to the theater and gave it a hug.
Yeah.
I like did like a face plant with hair.
I know. And I loved that. And it's so hard for me because the one thing I really miss is my daily, at least 3, 4, or 5 times a day, walking across the plaza from the Rose Building over to the theater. And it used to be a time when I just kind of chilled out. Sometimes I would just sit on the plaza for 5 minutes and just let all the Hazara fall away, and and sit there and just look at our theater and look at the fountain and look at Demarche Park, and it's just a time people watch, which is amazing on our plaza.
It is.
So it was incredible for me to see those pictures of you on the plaza. It was like I loved it so much. But of course, at the same time, it was incredibly melancholy because I wanted to be doing that.
Yeah. Well, then like one day you have to like drive in here.
I know.
We'll have a socially distanced meeting in the plaza.
Right.
You just sit there and stare at it. And they're also playing music. They're like playing opera music and ballet music and classical music and stuff. So that's kind of cute. That's nice.
That's nice. I mean, it's nice to somehow bring, what happens, even if it's recorded, in each of those buildings out into the plaza, just to remind us all that still exists in some form. I mean, and it's going to be back.
It's going to be back. It's going to be back. It's going to be fine. We're going to get out of this. We're going to be fine. Okay. So let's go back to when you first came to New York City Ballet, and what is your favorite story to tell that really embarrasses me, but I'll let you tell it.
I wasn't going to. I wasn't going to go there.
No, but you just love it so much.
Well, it's just a memory that I have that's so vivid in my head because it's when my predecessor and I were walking over to the theater, and you were walking in front of us, a very young you, because that was 16 years ago.
I know. I was
no. Yeah. 20.
Well, I'm
Really?
30. 2006.
Yeah. Wow. I know.
Well, I'm 34.
And I was
15 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was but I just remember you walking in front of us, and it was just a fond memory because I remember my predecessor turning to me and just saying, "Watch that one. She's going to be big." And I turned to look at you, and here was this young woman kind of walking down 65th Street with a bag over your shoulder, eating a big old candy bar. Okay, maybe it was.
But I love that you think it was like a Three Musketeers or something. What was it?
Well, yeah. In my mind, it was a Three Musketeers or a Mars bar. It was probably a protein bar. But
oh my God, so embarrassing.
That will always be my memory.
Yeah, and then we became fast friends, and I don't remember.
We did.
How.
We did, and I think it was just two people. I don't know. You find those people in your world that you're just somehow connected to, and I think that you were you were a brand new principal.
Well, I just become a soloist in 06.
Right. And so then you quickly became a principal.
Yeah, in 08, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that we just kind of bonded over my growing pains at New York City Ballet and you becoming, a soloist and then quickly becoming a principal. And I think we just, and then we had our amazing, the galas were always fun for us. And I think that,
well, they were, they were a lot of fun. And then we started not going.
Well, yeah.
We started
But
I think that actually, you know what, now that I think about it, we're not the only people that like grow out of that. And I do feel like when I was younger in the company, that was like a really fun thing to do. And like, you know, you wanted to be with everybody and celebrate, and you weren't really worried about what you had to do the next day. Like,
right.
you had a lot to do, but you didn't worry about it because you were young. And then once I got older, I was like, oh man, you know, it's like you just think like like 1-2 days down the line, you're just like, I know my body's not going to get through it.
Right.
Go to this. My heart is there. My heart is there, but my body can't do it anymore. But yeah, we would have very fun times, and we have a lot of photos, cute photos
Yeah.
of our galas.
That was one thing I realized when I was going through pictures, is that there's a lot of pictures of the two of us starting young and getting older and older in various kind of fashions. Some made for you by me. Some
Here's white suit.
I love that picture of the two of us and you in the white suit. But, you know, yes, the galas were always fun in the beginning. But then I think that as you get older and more involved, you know, you would usually be in whatever was at the gala.
Yeah.
And I was totally absorbed in getting the gala, at least costume-wise, on that stage. And we would have been working for 3 days in madcap dress rehearsals, sometimes scrapping a whole set of costumes, you know, on a Tuesday when a choreographer decided, no, I don't like those. You know, it was like, not naming names, but no, I don't like those. And we would, you know, quickly go shopping and order and dye and try to get them on for Wednesday. And it was just like, by the time Thursday came, in some ways later on, it was just like, I can remember the days that I would just sit there and, you know, dress rehearsals would be done. It'd be like 5 o'clock. It would be time to get dressed and go. And I just, in my mind, I was like, I just want to go home. But, you know,
I know.
I have to say, though, that once I would get over there and Harvey would be with me, which was always great having him along, and and I would kind of bolster my energy. And, you know, walking across the plaza over to the theater, it was just one of those kind of momentous things where you saw the people milling about the front and
the carpet and the photo.
Yeah. And then, you know, you got in and it was like, you kind of got swept up in the event. And then it was something that was great to be excited about again.
Yeah. So like, okay, so you're the costume director of New York City Ballet.
Yeah.
I mean, you should like write a book about that. I mean, because we're close friends, you know, I get an inside look on everything that goes on, and, you know, but I just feel like what you have to go through on a daily basis with all the dancers and the choreographers and the lighting and the director, and it's just crazy town. And I guess maybe, I don't know if you have one crazy story. I mean, there's so many crazy stories that we probably should not even get into, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, what is one that like sticks out that you could tell us that's like really?
Well, I mean, do you know, is there one that you're thinking of?
I mean, there's many that I'm thinking
Okay.
of. Many. But
I
like,
mean,
I just want to from your perspective from like,
I mean, I think one in particular, and it's like a group of events, and it's all around when Valentino came to New York City Ballet.
Yes.
And was designing the first fall fashion gala.
Right.
And, you know, that was just a kind of heady, period with him and his partner Giancarlo, and we could only get them to come in at like 1 o'clock. That was the earliest, and at 2:30 it was like they'd be heading to the door, and that was it. And that was all I got. I got an hour and a half. But I have to say, the amazing thing about him is that he was so thrilled and so absolutely, just, he was like a kid in a candy store being at New York City Ballet. And he loved the dancers. He hadn't designed a lot, because he was retired. Yeah. And he was just so excited about it all. And even if I only had him for an hour and a half, it was an amazing hour and a half that I had with him.
I do remember you talking about, because, all the designers they have a different process of how they design their clothes, and like, if they have assistants do it or help them in any way. But I remember you telling me that he would sit down and still draw out all of his designs in front of you.
Yes.
And it's like, I would just want to be a fly on the wall to see.
Yes. That. And it reminded me, I need to change the lighting. I just got really dark.
Sunlight, you need to come out. Where are you, sunlight?
Hold on 1 second.
Or the gold ceiling needs to light up or something. You should have like
that's
gold ceiling that just like start to shimmer.
That's better.
That is. Yeah, so he would draw like everything in front of you in the.
Yeah. And it was so I always thought of him doing that, because later on, many designers we had, I would get sketches, but they would come from assistants, or I would get research, or I would get, a photograph of something they'd done from another collection or so, which was, which always was good. But the thing about here, you had this 70-something-year-old designer who was, sitting down, and I just remember him saying, "Get me a piece of paper and a pencil." And, and then we would sit there and just watch him over his shoulder as he drew it out. But he was great. And, I have amazing stories and amazing memories of him, during the summer when he went away and he was on his boat, and he would call me from the boat to tell me, literally, he would call me to say, first of all, he would tell me that the boat was so hot, the deck was so hot that the puppies' paws were burning. So I could hear the deckmen in the background throwing water so the puppies wouldn't burn. But then he would call me just to say that, the ruffle on Sterling's bodice should be pleated, not ruched. And it was just like, okay, thank you so much. I'll see you soon. Bye. And that was it. And, he was so detail oriented.
I mean, I was not, unfortunately, I was not part of that ballet, but I was part of it in one way, because
you had that amazing photo shoot.
I was injured. Was it my second? When was that? 2000? No, which one was that? Was that 2009 or 2012?
That would have been 2012.
Okay, so my second back injury.
Yeah.
And I was very severely injured, and I couldn't dance. And then no one was available during the summer to do a shoot. Of course I was, because I was doing nothing in New York in my apartment. And I think you called me up and you're like, "Can you come do this?" I was like, "Yeah, that's amazing." And I just remember being in the shop, and they had done my hair and makeup, and his partner came over, and he was like, "Lipstick, lips need to be more doll-like. They need bigger, big doll." I was like, "What's happening right now?"
And we were all crammed in that fitting room with lights, and it was for the Vanity Fair shoot.
It was DeMarcia
Sorry?
that did the photo.
Patrick DeMarchelier did the photo.
Right?
I
And,
mean, it was big time.
and like they set up the whole thing before he had gotten there because they know him so well. And then they just put me in place. And he walked in and took two photographs. And
left.
within one. And he like placed him in there. And then he had us come around and like look at the photos. And he was like, do you like this? And I was like, I don't know. Yes, sure. And he was like, good, we're done. I was like, what? I'll never forget that.
Well, you know, I mean, that's an example of someone that absolutely knows what they're doing. And,
well, yeah, it's true.
You know, he walked into that room, knew what that photograph was able to take it, and it worked because he had amazing assistants. And it's like anybody says, it's like an amazing costume designer that I once knew, Patricia Zipprat, who's died a long time ago. But she said to me once that a brilliant costume designer is only brilliant because they surround themselves with brilliant people. And it's so true. And, you know,
the best leaders surround themselves with people that
exactly
are as good as them or better.
Right.
Right. To lead.
And also don't micromanage.
Right.
Which is, you know, something that's hard to do. I have to say, in being at New York City Ballet, I have gotten so much better at that because, you know, you just realize with an institution that big that you can't. There's just no way.
You can't control everything.
You know, when you're doing a ballet, you know, redesigning Symphony in C, when you're doing something like that and it's that big, you know, I want to concentrate on the principles. So you let your drapers and your assistant concentrate on the, you know, on the core. And yes, you check in, but, you know, they know where they know what you're going to want. So you trust them.
Yeah. And also you can't make everybody happy, right?
No.
You know, you're not, and that's the hard thing about being in such a big institution is that not everybody's going to be happy, but in the end, it still is successful. And that was, I mean, Symphony in C, that was like a big deal.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
Big. And I remember, I can't believe that I was like the guinea pig. And looking back on those photos, first of all, I look really young. And then second, I just, because everybody knows Symphony in C, like everybody in the world knows that ballet. And just the fact that you got the green light to redesign it. And I felt like you, and not everybody has this opinion, right? But that you brought the costumes up to the level of what the ballet was.
Oh, thank you.
How good the ballet is, like the steps and how it's constructed and the music. It's just like, it's a perfect ballet and it's like, you cannot change it. And the costumes, when I got in and I was wearing the costumes, I was just like, this doesn't feel right. Like in this day and age, it doesn't feel like important enough. I don't know. It was very strange. So then when we started making these, when you started designing these and I was like part of it, I was like, oh yeah, this is it. This is good. Bring on the Swarovski, bring on the stones. Let's do this. And yeah.
That was a really amazing time for me because, you know, when you have someone, when you're given that opportunity, you know, and someone says, okay, I want you to redesign this iconic ballet, probably the iconic ballet for New York City Ballet. You know, it helped me so much in that I had someone like you to be my guinea pig. Because first of all, I mean, it's just, you know, it's great to do it on a principal dancer like you, but also I knew that you would be someone that would turn to me and say, I don't know about that. I mean, you never did,
I know.
but
you can see it in my face. I can't hold anything back in my face.
I can always see it in your face. I can always. So that is always a true giveaway.
Yeah. But I don't feel like we had many instances in that one.
No.
We didn't have.
But it's so true what you say that you're never going to make everyone happy because everyone has a different vision of how they see a ballet on stage. I remember when I did another ballet for New York City Ballet, and one of the reviewers said, "Why did he put them in navy blue tights?" And I was just like, what? I mean, I just thought of you sit there and you think of all the ballets that the men are in black tights or brown tights or dark tights of any kind, but for some reason, why navy blue tights? So, it's always those kind of things. It's hard. It's one of the hardest things to do, and I'm sure it is for you. And that's why a lot of people never read reviews.
No.
But I don't know. I can't help myself. I can't. And, so many times you find yourself getting excited about it and thrilled that someone saw what you were hoping they would see. But then, if you're going to do that, you always have to understand that there's going to be the other side.
Yeah.
And you have to be ready to say, well, okay, that's their opinion.
I mean, especially in New York.
Sorry?
Especially in New York. It's like,
yes.
It's like that. But I think that's how that's what makes us a little unique and special, in that New Yorkers and, New York City Ballet is that, like, we're going to get opinions from all different angles and sides, and you have to tune that out and just stay true to who we are. But also that makes us hustle and work even harder and make us go even further than we thought, and gives us a thick skin too. It's like, not everything's going to be rosy and great and happy. It's like, that's not real.
Because, sometimes you look at both sides, because you can have, a major publications review and it'll be like, eh. And then there's like Hagelin's Heel, that online, the reviews, and it's like all positive, all good. Right. New York City Ballet can do no wrong. Designers there can do no wrong. It's like, I think I got a Hagelin's Heel award for Symphony in C, I believe. So, you take that with a grain of salt as well. Although I will always be happy that it got my Hagelin's Heel award. Nothing physical. I think it was just a picture of a crystallized high heel online. Anyway.
Okay, so that's like New York City Ballet, but let's also talk about like all of the other stuff that you do, like insane amount of stuff that you do outside of New York City Ballet. And I remember, and I know Harvey will agree to this, is that you pack on so many things that you do. And like, you'll stay at the shop till like 9, 10 o'clock for your extra projects, because, it's, for people special that you care about, and for productions that you really care about. And I think, and that's also, I think that's how we relate, is that I'll do the same thing.
Yeah.
I'll,
I mean, you are always, I know this, you are always so overbooked in some way.
I know.
And I think we can't help ourselves. I know for me, I was able to kind of let that go. But because I came from before City Ballet, I was very much involved in actually draping, constructing, overseeing costumes being built. And when I became director of costumes, I had to step away from that a little bit, but I wasn't quite so ready to do that. So I would take on these extra projects.
But also a lot of your extra projects are in theater, which is where you started before you met ballet. So that's to keep your hand in the theater stuff. And you're a theater junkie. Just
I am.
You are obsessed with theater, and you, on a day where you're there from 8:30 in the morning till 6 o'clock, and then you'll go down and see a show.
Right.
You're just booked. And I text you and you're like, sorry, I'm booked. I can't tonight. I'm going to go see this.
Right. Well, I think that, that will always be, I love being at City Ballet. I love standing backstage right and watching ballets. I mean, it's just thrilling to me, especially if it's something that's new or you're creating a role. I love watching that. But, you know, theater will always be my first love because it's what I grew up in. It's what when I was a young costumer, I worked on Broadway. And so I kept a lot of those connections, and I maintained a lot of the connections so that they would come to me and ask me if I could do sometimes they would always be like, I've got a leading lady, she's difficult. Could you help me out? And I will never forget I will never forget, speaking of Valentino, being in the Publix Theater in the Park at the Shakespeare in the Park. And we were working on Into the Woods, and I was working on a very difficult situation with an actress. And we were also doing Valentino's ballet then at the same time. And I had him on my cell phone. It said, whenever he called, it would say Valentino. And my phone was sitting on the floor in the trailer when I'm doing this fitting. And we're fitting, and this actress is being a little difficult and a little needy and a little this and a little that. And my phone rang, and I looked down, and she looked down at the same time, and it said Valentino. And she just looked at me and said, really? And I said, yeah, sorry, excuse me, I have to take this call. And, I stepped out, and that's when like my New York City ballet and my theater world kind of collided. I mean, it often did, but there were funny moments like that.
Did you get whoever this person was?
Sorry?
Become nicer to you?
She became more interested, I think. I think there was a level of like, oh, if he's talking to Valentino, then
yeah.
There must be something more there. I don't know. But yeah, so I mean, but I over the last few years, I've managed to kind of let go a lot of that because I realized you just can't keep that up,
Right. You can't do it all.
No.
You can't do it all. But then somehow you do. You do a lot. You do.
Well, we both do.
And then, well, you've done so you've done gala outfits for me, which are real cute. And then you've done an insane amount of costumes for me. I mean, and this is going to sound really weird. I know. Just wait. But I don't think anybody knows my body like you do in a very specific way. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. And yeah, it's kind of special in that, like, and I talk about this a lot in my fittings, and I feel like my fittings are like therapy sessions as well.
They are kind of, yes.
Like, what's up, what's going on, gossip sesh, and then therapy sesh, and then we finally get down to the fitting. But I don't know. I feel like when your costume fits properly, or your clothes fit properly, you act differently, you dance differently, you dance your best, you are able to actually go out there and do what you're supposed to do and not worry about anything else. And I think, I wasn't able to sort of voice that before you got there. But I think then when we became good friends, it's like, well, no, there's no reason to hold back. Like, this is how it is.
Exactly.
And I think you're very real with everybody of like, well, no, it needs to be right. Like, we're not like do this halfway. This has to be right. And you want to make sure everybody's happy. And there's no bull crap that goes around. You know what I mean? It's like very
well, you have to get I just always felt, and this is something I learned from an amazing woman named Barbara Matera that I worked for years ago, is that you know, very much like you said, fittings can be very much, you know, as much therapy sessions as anything. And a lot of times for me, because I'm not the draper is working with a dancer, and I will kind of lean against the mirror and get the dancer to not think about what's going on, so that, you know, that draper can do their work, do their business. But then also, yeah,
Very tricky of you.
yeah, you need to kind of get them to not pay attention to what's going on,
Wow.
and just talk about their dog, or talk about their life, or talk about a suit we're going to make next week, or whatever. And, you know, and then, but I also think that, you know, there just comes a point then in the fitting where I have to, hopefully, and I think I've built trust up with most of the dancers, I know I did with you early on, that they can just be totally open and honest with me. And because I, you know, it's like I say to dancers all the time, tell me now, because when we get backstage and we're stage right and you're about to go on, it's too late.
Yeah.
And you know, something you felt in the fitting, you've got to tell me now. And so I think a lot of dancers really started to understand that, because, you know, I've always felt that, I mean, one of my biggest jobs is to make dancers, when they're going on stage, not be distracted by what they're wearing.
Yeah.
Because if they're not distracted by what they're wearing, either in comfort or whatever, length, too much fabric, too much this, the wrong color that doesn't work with them, you know, proportions that aren't right, and they know it. They're distracted when they get on stage. And, you know, my job is to make them not think about that costume and only think about that choreography.
Right.
So, you know, I try.
God, that just like, even you just saying that brings up so many situations. It's just like to think about right now when we don't have it. But like when you're in it, right? When we're in season, and it's like those small things that make such a difference.
Yeah.
That you make a big deal about. And now thinking about it, I'm just like, ugh, why was I acting like that? But like when you're in the moment, you're like, no, this 1/8 of an inch is a big deal.
It's can be a huge deal. And you know, there's been so many times where I've had people say to me when I got out of a fitting, were you kidding when you said 1/4 of an inch? And I was like, no, not at all. It should be 1/4 of an inch moved in, because that's going to make it proportionally better for her body.
I mean, just crazy. And I feel like at New York City Ballet, you know, the amount that happens in one day, that can happen in one day, like you were saying, leading up to a gala, like and now witnessing other companies and how they work, it's like, I can't believe how much gets done in like zero time.
Well, when you think
zero time, and it's like, I think like the day of the show, you're like, oh, we've got time. It's fine.
Huh.
Goes tonight. Oh, it's fine. It's fine.
I know. I have visited other companies, and it's amazing to me, because I think, you know, we work with a company, and you know this more than anyone, that, you know, can be given a change or a new costume that afternoon, and you're going to wear it that night, and it's going to be okay. We'll be okay. You know, the choreography changes for these 8 bars. We'll be okay. It'll be better maybe in 2 nights when I've had a little more rehearsal, but we'll get it on stage, and that audience will not know.
For us, it's about getting it on stage and, you know, somehow looking like we want it to be. And then a couple shows later, maybe, you know.
Well, it's like for me, when we do the fall fashion galas, and that can be insanity, because, you know, when we're doing 4 new ballets with 4 fashion designers, and we're rehearsing all 4 in the same day for 3 days, you know, that's when you just think, I don't know that I can do this. When they would be one after another with not a minute between the dress rehearsals. But, those kind of things, that's when City Ballet, that's when we know how to really do it. Because, that night, that audience doesn't see what they see as finished ballets. And many times I have to say, for me, I always found, as I think with most new ballets, especially with our company, it was always good for me to go back like at the last performance, because by then I felt like you had all made it your own. You had settled into it. I didn't see dancers thinking about it. Oh.
Yes, our dogs. Okay, he's fine
now. I didn't see dancers thinking about it.
Ballets, right? It's like,
yeah.
I'm actually scared for people to watch the first night, because we don't get, like on Broadway, we don't get the, what's it called?
Dress rehearsal. You mean the previews?
Previews.
There are no previews.
No, we don't.
That was always the craziest thing for me, because even at the Met we had, dress rehearsals and invited dresses and that kind of thing.
Right.
And you had an audience. But when I worked on Broadway, we'd have a month and a half of previews. And, things changed every week.
Right.
Actors went in, actors came out, new numbers, new songs, blah, blah, blah. And you did it in front of audiences, but there were no reviewers. And I was like, I remember first coming to City Ballet, and when we put we dress rehearse in the afternoon and do the premiere that night in front of the New York Times. And I was like, what? Are we kidding?
Oh yeah.
What?
Great.
Why don't they come in like
for me, for all of us, it's like the norm. But then when you go see other places, you're just like,
yeah,
I get that. But then it's like, I don't know. It does something to us that makes us pull it together and like.
Well, I do think it's made a company of incredibly strong dancers.
Yeah.
Because they know, there's not going to be that chance. They have to get it right that night.
Yep.
And if things are slightly off, who's going to know?
Which they normally are with me. I mean, come on, let's just be real.
Yeah.
It's never really on. You're just like, oh, well, that was interesting. But I was thinking, like when we did Justin's ballet this past season, we had a whole different set of costumes, right? The week before. The week before, it was a totally different ballet. And then
2 days before, it was a totally different ballet.
Different costumes. And we actually did that ballet, and this is very unusual. We did that ballet 6 times that last week, which is like, that never happens. And I finally, by the 4th show, was like, oh, I get it. I get what I'm supposed to do out here. I get what I'm supposed to be like out here. And, it's yeah, in those first 3 shows, you're just like, oh, those people really see that? Okay.
Yeah. But something I really want to talk about for a moment, and that is that I think is really something that has made you a stronger dancer and a more informed dancer, is that you are really not afraid to go out and look at other art forms and allow that to, inform who you are as a dancer. And I think that's so important.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm doing the Joyce thing. I mean,
right.
This is why we're here. This is why we're talking.
Right.
Joyce evening. And you're doing 2 pieces?
Right? Yeah.
You're doing the piece with Jody Melnick, who we love. Oh,
Jody.
Who we
love.
Oh, Jody. I think she said that you're going on a walk tomorrow or something.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Because she's staying up there. And then you're doing the piece with Guillaume. So you're actually opening and closing. As the way it is now, you'll be opening and closing the evening. And they're very, very different pieces.
But like, I have to say, when I came up to see the Jacob's Pillow week, for me, one of the most emotional moments I felt was when I saw you do that Martha Graham solo. Because to me, that was just so foreign to what I see you do at New York City Ballet. And, you know, I watched a dancer, a dear friend and a dancer, really seriously go out on a limb. And then I'll say it, succeeded. You know, and it was an emotional, you know, moment to watch. I mean, it was so beautiful. I'm sorry, I'm embarrassing you, but it was, you know, and just the whole evening. It was just one of those evenings where it was just incredible to watch an artist step out of the comfortable and not so comfortable world of classical ballet.
Well, I owe that to Jody. Honestly, let's just like, I'm going to give her all the credit, because when I first worked with her like 5-6 years ago, she was the first person that really opened my eyes to like other things, because I was stuck in the ballerina bubble, and I just am so fascinated by her and like what she knows, and she's really shown me so many different sides of dance and what's you know, available to us in New York. And you know, that's sort of why I'm where I am today. And you know, people joke that I become a modern dancer when I'm not at New York.
Right.
I don't put point shoes on my layoffs, and I just become somebody else, which is, you know, I love it and it's great. And like you said, yes, everything I do outside of New York City Ballet comes back with me and informs what I do at New York City. How I approach things and new pieces, and even Balanchine and Robin's work. And I think people have noticed that, and I think it's helped me personally and artistically as well. And it's really been nice. So I'm really excited about this evening, because I haven't done any of the, Jody and I did the piece, but we're going to work it, and you're going to make us look cute and fierce. And I don't know if that includes an orange construction harness.
I'm not sure whether the harnesses are going to be involved. Part of it?
For context, Jody found an orange construction harness when we were at the Pillow and put it on over her costume that we were wearing then. And she was like, this is what we should wear. And I was like, oh no, this happening. So I don't know if that's part of it. That's up to you two. I will wear whatever Jody wants me to wear. I will do it for her. And then,
well, and that's one of the things that's so great about you, is that you're not one of those dancers that will turn to me and say, oh, no.
You mean I've never done that with you? Yes, I have. I totally have.
I don't know. Maybe we've compromised and made changes, but you've never been like.
Okay, well, there's definitely been some designers that we've both done that with equally. We don't have to get into it. We won't have to get into it, but yeah, it's been bad.
There's definitely, I remember a fitting, and all we're going to say is that it was a fitting, and I put something on you, and you turned to me, and you started crying, and we had to stop the fitting and basically get you out of it and get you out of that fitting room. Oh, so yes.
That was... Mm-hmm.
But that's when I become, you know, kind of the great, I don't know, mediator or something like that. I don't know what I am, but it's like,
you don't get emotional. You're just like,
no.
All right, so I think this fitting's done. I think
yes.
Today, and she needs to go. She has to go to rehearsal, and like just
always a good excuse.
Oh God, that was traumatic. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, most of the time I'm pretty open to what people want. I mean, I do have my point of view, and I'm just like, I try things, and I'm just like, that's not going to work. No, that's not going to work. And you have to be realistic, and because you don't want to go out there and things happen. And so yeah, I think I'm pretty good in that way. But Jody will, I mean, she'll laugh because she, you know, has that story where I didn't try out my clothes. I didn't try on my costume that you had designed and made, but we had already done it somewhere, and then we were doing it again. And I didn't try it on until the day of the show. And Jody was on stage, and I put the pants on, and they ripped. I didn't tell her. And then she came back in the dressing room, and I had leggings on. Oh, I just felt so bad. That was, I mean, I will take it all. Like, that was really bad, and I'll never do that again. But
well, you know, infamously, you won't come in and do a fitting, or you won't let us do your measurements until.
That's true. You will not, and especially after this time, you will not see me for months.
Yeah, but you've been very busy.
I have been busy, but I am not in the cute, fierce shape that I was in beforehand.
Well, I think, you know, it's going to be a whole company of like.
That's true.
As somebody said to me, and maybe it was you, that I'm going to have my team is going to have to come back so many weeks early because there's going to be so many alterations to be done.
I know. I'm gonna have stretch panels put in all my costumes.
And that's all we're saying about that.
Yeah, so that's gonna happen. But yeah, you're not getting my measurements for a while. What else? So you're excited about this evening, about Jody's and doing Guillaume's piece, and we've talked to Jody a lot about it, and you've seen the piece. Actually, you've seen a version of it, so you sort of know what it's like. And then Guillaume's solo, which I just did a social takeover for him today, and I posted a lot of footage of our rehearsals that we've done so far, and we've had one conversation all together about what he's thinking for it and where we want it to go, and it's sort of going to be the ending of the evening, I think, maybe, and you know, bringing it back to who I am as a dancer. And so I think that will be fun. And it's also, I think also what's great when you do these things for me is that they're so different than what you would make for me at New York City Ballet, right? Like New York City Ballet is most of the time is very over the top, extravagant tutus, you know, crystals. Right. It's a lot. And I think with the stuff that I do outside, it's very simplistic. It's very human. It's very, I don't know what else word to put to it, but it's like, it's not the ballerina. It's just Sarah. I think that's what we want to showcase with what we want to do with that solo.
It's closer to being real clothes a lot of times.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, for this piece that Guillaume is doing, which I think is amazing and so gorgeous, and is also another one that pushes you, you know, in another direction.
Yeah.
And just that the voice of Nina Simone and that song. It also, I find, you know, and did you know that back when you started it? But it, in some ways, it's so relevant to what's going on. And I just think it's, you know, it's suddenly has become this really beautiful solo that says a lot about, you know, really addresses what's going on today.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important.
Yeah. It just sort of happened to be that. And I think now that it's, you know, the week is postponed and like it's going to happen eventually next year, it's now we have more time to work on it and we have more space and freedom to do what we want to do with it and not rush it, which hopefully we'll be able to work on it since he's in Canada.
Right.
We don't know when the border's going to be open or whatever, but you know, there's always Zoom rehearsals. I mean, that's a big thing now. I mean, look at us.
Yeah.
We're on Zoom.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So I'm really excited about that. And yeah, is there anything else we didn't cover? I mean, we're like besties, and
well, one amazing thing I have to say, and it involves you know, Harvey, as well as some of our amazing trips together that we've been able to do that have not involved dance at all.
That's
And, you know, because we turned out to be, as well as being good friends, we turned out to be really good traveling friends.
yes.
So
granola in the middle of the night.
yeah. So, you know, trips to London, trips to the Carolinas.
Oh my God, our road trip. Yeah.
Our road trip that was amazing. You know, and then the whole, you know, the whole Carolina wedding trip and the wedding dress and that project. That project that was just a thrill from beginning to end for me.
Yeah. That was really special.
And then, you know, we were just looking at pictures. We were looking at a black and white picture that Harvey had taken, and it was of you and what's her name? The woman that kind of coordinated the whole wedding that lives down there. Harriet, yes. You and Harriet and maybe two other people, and we were standing on the beach, and it was cloudy and windy, and
rehearsal. It was the rehearsal the day before.
The look on all of our faces is like, oh my God. And I just remember thinking, ugh, no. And then, you know, infamously, gloriously, we woke up the next morning to probably the most gorgeous day that we could have ever dreamed of.
It was really spectacular, I have to say.
Yeah.
And my dress, like just like you planned, my dress turned out to look like the sky, the sunset sky.
Right.
Yes. And then Josh's suit turned out to just like you wanted, the sand that turned into the ocean. So it all worked out perfectly. It was great.
Yeah.
And now my dress is at FIT.
Yeah, I mean, currently your dress is stuck at FIT in a show called Ballerina that was put up about 3 weeks before the pandemic, before New York City closed down.
Right.
And so it's stuck there.
In the museum. That's fine. I mean, that's great. Yeah. It's a great honor for it.
I know. But, you know, it's all of those things. It's the back injuries that I still remember so well that, you know, we got through. I remember it's all of that that's just, you know, made you and me, you know, just that much, I mean, a stronger bond. You know, you get people through these things and they bring you that much closer together.
Yeah, it's been really. Oh, and I think I might show a photo. Well, I guess we should, of your wedding with your partner down at City Hall. And I was
Harvey and I, where you, I mean, talk about events that bring us closer together, where you were one of our amazing witnesses for Harvey and my wedding at City Hall on an extremely hot day. But, you know, it was incredible to have you there, and you just made it that much better.
That's really good. Okay, I guess we've covered everything. I mean, there's so much in between.
There's so much in between.
Like the cliff notes. This is like the highlights.
There could be another 2 or 3 hours that we could go, but
at least
another time. And so much more, because we will all be back at City Ballet.
We will. We'll all be back. This is all going to be okay.
And you and I will be standing in a fitting room. And I'll be distracting you, as usual.
Yeah, because this is not going to look cute in a costume for a while. I'll keep working. But I'm just saying, it's going to be a lot. But, okay, well, I'll let you go have a good evening.
Cheers.
Oh, cheers.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Cheers.
I loved it.
This was fun. All right, thanks, guys, for watching. Bye.